Good afternoon, everyone. I'm here to talk about four things you have to know if you're a contractor. And if you follow these, you'll be safe. If you don't, you'll be in trouble. So, number one is the Home Improvement Contractors Act. And this is a very detailed statute in Indiana. It's designed to protect homeowners from getting scammed by home improvement contracts. And there's a lot of things out there. People are not usually doing things wrong, but they're not following the statute. If you fail to follow the statute, then you're going to be countersued when you're trying to get paid. And the bad news is that you'll lose on that because you didn't comply with the act. It's strict compliance requirements, and the other side gets their attorney fees. So that usually makes the whole thing turn upside down for whatever money you were owed by your customer that wasn't paying you for some reason. And in the Home Improvement Act, we just did a set of docs for a client, and we broke it out into four different steps. Number one, we did a scope of work that described, who's the client, what's exactly being done in detail, right? That's number one. And then number two, we've got an agreement with the client that they sign that goes through all the services that are being provided and how payment is going to be made, the terms of the contract, etc. And it's a little bit longer document than the scope of work, which is what you would normally think of as a contractor. That's what we see is the most common entire contract. So it's not it. So you really need to cover, there's like 16 or 17 different bullet points in the HICA Act that you've got to combine into these different things. So we do the scope of work, that's number one. Then we do a client agreement that's got a lot of provisions in it to keep you compliant with the statute. And then we do a third document, and that's a change order. So everybody knows in construction that as soon as you start into it, there's going to be something that needs to be modified, maybe a material, maybe a color, maybe you need to add something, maybe there's more demo that needs to be done, something like that. It expands. So you need to have in writing, signed by the party, right? All these things that need to be signed and dated, right? So if you don't do that, then you're in violation of the act. And the change order is an essential part of that. So if you're going to add something or change a color, you better get it in writing, because not on text. It's be in writing, signed by the person. If you rely on text messages and email, I know that's the easy way to do business, but it's not the best legal way. Okay? So I'm always telling people, in the living room, it sounds good. You're going to win on that argument. You got a text message. But in the courtroom, you're not going to win. You're going to lose. And I beat people like this. So I win by having my documents in order. And if you've got your docs in order, you win. If you don't, you lose. That's it. It's that simple. So you got to have these documents, and they have to be in writing. They've got to be signed. You could use DocuSign if you've got like an iPad you're using for your estimating and whatnot, or some other kind of software that your firm has to put this stuff out. It's got to be signed by the person, not a wet signature, but signed like a real DocuSign or Adobe Sign, something like that. And a couple of the key provisions would be who's doing the work. So if you're going to sub it out, part of it, you have to identify who else is going to do the work, or you're not going to be compliant with HICA. So you have to identify those subcontractors. Another thing that's a little bit interesting is you must have a start and a stop date. This is to prevent people from saying, oh, I hired a contractor and they're going to put on an addition to my house, and you end up 8 months later and you haven't even started. So the homeowner's like, wait a minute, I got scammed. I gave a 50% deposit or a 20%, whatever it was. Work never started. So you've got to have a start and an end date on these contracts. A couple very key provisions. And you've got to have email addresses where you can communicate. This is another key provision. So I just want to go through some of those things, and then here's the fourth document that I want you to have, and what we would create for you if you hired us to do the work for you. And that is a completion certificate. And this is where you do a walkthrough at the end, and you say, hello, customer, I did my work. I want you to sign here and say, I did do the work, I completed it on time, I followed the contract, you don't have any complaints, everything is good. This is your get out of jail free card at the end, so that if someday later they try to accuse you of doing something wrong, you've got that completion certificate that says what you did and they've signed off on it and that it's okay, that your work was good, it was a workmanlike manner, etc. So these are 4 documents you got to have if you're a contractor. If you don't have them, you're going to get sued, you're going to lose. I don't want you to lose. I want you to get paid. So Jeff Jinks at Jeff Jinks Law, we defend your territory. Call us if you're a contractor. We do a lot of work with the trades. Take care. We defend your territory.